So basically, for a black student, they could do 30% worse on their standardized scores than an equivalent
And
white
you don't
student.
think that has any outside factors to do with it?
Well, that's not the point. The point is whether or not.
But how is that not the point?
Because I don't believe we should accommodate based on outside factors. You do.
Well, I do because I believe in progression. And I feel like you have stated in multiple of your videos, which I do have a quote.
Fair enough. I'm just making sure we understand we disagree.
I
don't think we should change the rules of the game to accommodate.
What were the rules of the game?
Well, the rules of the game are that you should be treated fairly and equally, right?
For sure.
That's an American principle.
And I agree with that completely.
Got it. So, therefore, a white male should not be treated differently than a black male.
But when you come from a different...
Doesn't matter. Equal treatment or not. It's not whether or not you were said mean things when you grew up or whether your dad was a gangbanger. Doesn't matter.
All right, Tom debate of Charlie with these college students on DEI and then also immigration. So let's continue with this very discourse.
My name's Layla, and I've recently watched 3 videos of yours, Best Top 10 Charlie Kirk Debate Moments of 2024, Students Enraged that I Say College is a Scam, and 10 Unforgettable Charlie Kirk Debates that Shook 2024. And I picked 3 different topics that I think are important to me, which comes down to immigration, affirmative action, and DEI, and college is a scam. But the one I want to talk to you about the most is affirmative action and DEI. And in these videos, you have said, quote for quote, white males have high test scores, white males shouldn't have to be penalized. You did acknowledge and say that people of color come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds that do not prioritize education much. But instead of making a suggestion on how to help those communities and continue to build those communities up, you continue to say that our institutions are becoming less excellent. And I'm confused as to what your definition of excellence is. Is that because white males aren't necessarily, in your opinion, getting accepted as in a higher rate, even though they technically are, because 41% of college admitted students are of the white race?
It should be higher than that, yeah.
Based on what? Where are you getting the statistics? I just want to understand.
It's a good question. The Supreme Court did a whole case on this, and it ruled against affirmative action, and we saw the books of Harvard. So
I don't want to cut you off. May I know for future reference so I can understand where you're coming from and get more context, could I know the Supreme Court case?
Yeah, so the name, 2.5 years ago, I think it was something out of California. Someone look it up. You could use Grok or ChatGPT.
If somebody could please look that up for me. Thank you.
So we saw the data out of Harvard. Harvard was the test case, and effectively approximating, but a white male had to get about a 30% higher test score to even be considered than an equivalent black student.
And when was this?
Over 30 years. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. So basically, for a black student, they could do 30% worse on their standardized scores than an equivalent white student.
And you don't think that has any outside factors to do with it?
Well, that's not the point. The point is whether or not.
But how is that not the point?
Because I don't believe we should accommodate based on outside factors. You do.
Well, I do because I believe in progression. And I feel like you have stated in multiple of your videos, which I do have a quote.
No, fair enough. I'm just making sure we understand we disagree.
For sure.
I don't think we should change the rules of the game to accommodate.
What were the rules of the game?
Well, the rules of the game are that you should be treated fairly and equally, right?
For sure.
That's an American principle.
And I agree with that completely.
Got it. So, therefore, a white male should not be treated differently than a black male.
But when you come from a different...
Doesn't matter. Equal treatment or not. It's not whether or not you were said mean things when you grew up or whether your dad was a gangbanger. Doesn't matter.
Well, I'm not saying that's not the outside factors I'm talking about.
It doesn't matter what the outside factors are.
But can I explain where I'm coming from?
But understand, I'm going to finish and I'll let you talk.
Okay, of course.
Equal treatment is regardless of any sort of sob story you could put on before it. Equal treatment. Test score, test score.
And I completely agree with that. But I also come from a predominantly white town, so I understand what you're trying to say. In my district, we have so much funding, and I live in the Florida Keys, so there's a lot of funding that comes to my school. And you can drive 30 miles north, and you end up in Homestead, where they have a fraction of the funding that we have, and they don't have as much of the same testing instructors and people to help them, and have as much of the same outside resources. And then you can keep going another 30 miles, and you end up in Miami, where all the private schools are, and they get even more funding than where I come from, and not that obviously I ended up where I am today because I continue to push through, and I didn't let any outside factors affect me. But at the end of the day, I kept going, and some people don't have that same ability, and I also
It doesn't. Again, first of all, in Florida, every public school gets the same amount of money. Okay, there's an equal funding across the board.
But you also get donations from the people in your community.
Fair enough, but Florida has.
And I know for a fact that my community gets many donations.
Florida has the most. You could use equitable funding structure of any school, and has universal school choice basically. So that's number one. Number two, explain to me why, when we're admitting people for a job, should it just be what's on that piece of paper, or should race play into the factor?
So I know that your argument is mediocrity. I forgot. I don't
mediocrity.
Really. Okay, yeah, and I know that, and I also believe in quotas as well. But I don't think that it should be one and one, but they should go hand in hand. Because at the end of the day, if I have just as good as a resume as somebody next to me, I wanna understand where you're getting that jobs are just taking people because they're a woman, because they are black. I just want to see. And I understand what you're trying to say because of course, with affirmative action and DEI, that does give them an upper hand. But where does it say that you take somebody just because of that color?
All over the place. Capitol Street Partners back in the summer of 2022 said that they will not hire white men for internships. That's one example of thousands I could give.
But because of how many people are in there, how many people in position?
No, because they wanted to be. Again, that's irrelevant. It does not matter if you have an internship and everyone is a white man. If they're all qualified, that's great. It doesn't matter if they're all Asian or all black. It should be what merit qualification gets the people into that position.
And of course, but if this school only wanted white people to attend.
No, good, like excellent qualified people. And if they end up majority white, who cares? Why does that matter?
I don't think that matters. I'm saying that affirmative action.
No, you are saying it matters.
I'm saying that, but I'm not saying for the white male or the black race or the Asian race or the Indian race, or understand what I'm saying? I'm saying that it works in favor for any race and any sex. It works, and it does 1,000%, and I don't understand where you're getting that information.
It is anti-white racism that was in the fiber of our laws that is now getting away thanks to President Donald Trump, where if you were a white man, especially to apply for internships, jobs, going to college, that it was significantly harder to get those jobs, to get into those practices, because there were quotas that made it easier for people of other skin colors with lower standards to be able to get those positions. We agree there's only so many slots in a college, right? There's only so many positions in an internship. It's a limited supply.
I completely agree.
It is scarcity. So when you have a scarce resource, you have to decide how you're going to divvy up that scarce resource.
For sure.
In a DEI model, they're going to say, okay, we're not going to do any more than 30% white, and then we'll do 15%. And so you kind of come up with these quotas. Therefore, they end up saying, well, what happens if the 15% black is not qualified? They don't care, which ends up happening far too often. Or what happens if the
Can you give me examples of cases?
Air traffic control is actually a really good example. We now have all the documents that show that we went on a hiring spree to have more black air traffic controllers. There's a huge lawsuit about this, 15, 16, 17, where the standards for air traffic control dropped so dramatically, and you're kind of seeing some of the effects of that potentially. And again, it's in almost every single corporate practice, every single college institution. But it just kind of comes down to more of a moral argument that I have, which is that if you have something based on merit, I don't care if it's all black, all Asian, all white. It's an excellent group is what I want, not a diverse group. I care about excellence, not diversity. Because I do not believe diversity is a strength. I believe unity is a strength. I believe the pursuit of higher purposes is a strength. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do understand where you're coming from. I feel like I do agree with some of the things that you did just say, and I may have to do some more research on the things that you said before, but I guess we can agree to disagree for the time being. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
That's a very interesting debate, listening to Charlie and this very young lady. But one thing I want to say is that despite the fact that we know that the Supreme Court decided to sample Harvard and then in making their research, but it doesn't mean that just because you understand you are a black person that it means that you are being favored. You understand, when someone see you working in America, then someone says that, oh, this person is being favored just because of maybe because of test score. For me, I don't support people to be employed because of color of their skin or to be favored during admission or even their test score or whatever. I just feel that, you understand, once you are qualified, then you should be employed. And if you are not qualified, you shouldn't be employed, irrespective of, you understand, your skin color. But totally looking at, you understand, the Supreme Court, you understand, sampling of Harvard and generalize this, you understand, on the black people, I feel that it's a little bit not fair to look at it, you understand, in that very aspect, because it's not only, you understand, Harvard University that is only that institution, you understand, in the United States. You have so many institutions. So if you look at, you understand, Harvard and says that just because of the test score that is happening there, then that's why even Trump is even advocating for the scrapping of this Department of Education. Why shouldn't be some kind of revamping, you understand, so that some of those things, you understand, should be stopped. People should not, you understand, be employed, you understand, because of their color of their skin, number one. Number two, there should be a base, you understand, for the test score, you understand, when it comes to the student. Nobody, you understand, should be admitted if you don't reach, you understand, that very score, or no degree should be awarded, you understand, to anyone if you don't reach, you understand, the test score that is being needed, you understand, for your graduation. That should be what that is supposed to be, so that to avoid this kind of a thing of stereotyping, you understand, people to be like, because they are black, that's why they are going through this. I think that is not fair to the black people, because there are a lot of black people that are very brilliant. You could look at, you understand, even the health sector, when they says that, you understand, America is best when it comes to medicine, right? When you look at it, you understand, look at the percentage of the people are there. There are also a lot of people of color. So does it mean that those ones that are there is because of DEI? Is it the reasons why, you understand, they are being employed? There are a lot of black people that, that are very brilliant, okay, that are performing, you understand, very excellent, you understand, in their job. So I think that we should not discredit, you understand, such hardworking, you understand, people, and says that because of Harvard decide to put their test score in that very manner, then it means that, you understand, the white people are better than the black people, or vice versa. I think it's not right. People should be treated, you understand, equally. And then just like how, you understand, we talk about, you understand, our strength, you understand, in diversity should be based on unity, and not just about, you understand, skin color. Well, I know that a lot will disagree with me on this, but then let me see that at the comment section, and may God bless you as you do so. So have a wonderful day, and goodbye.